Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi.
First of all, I'm sorry that I always got to go off on a tangent. I know Bob Arum really wants to take boxing to Saudi Arabia. Hopefully, if it happens over there more frequently, we don't have to deal with an hour and a half lead up to the main event. Because from the last undercard fight to the main event, the spectacle was about an hour and a half, and that was cool. But I can't be doing that every time, especially when sometimes fights be coming on late and stuff. Imagine having to watch a fight that's like, what I'm saying, 12 a.m. Eastern our time, and then they have an hour and a half performance. I'm gonna be like knocked out trying to get to the main event.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, with the time zone differences, maybe the fights will always be earlier. But nevertheless, I thought it was an amazing, just event. I thought it was an amazing event, and the main event did not disappoint. Francis put Tyson Fury down in the third round. And me personally, I never had a fear of Fury not being able to get up, or I never had a fear of him getting knocked out. I'm like, this guy can get up from Deontay Wilder's punch. He can get up for anything. But I did not expect him to get knocked down like that. I didn't expect Francis to box as well as he did. So, I mean, just tell me what you thought, man. How surprised were you, if surprised at all?
Yo, very, very surprised, and it was crazy too, because I was about to miss the fight until you had texted me, and I was like, oh, let me, and I ended up going back to rewatch the fight even today, the full fight. But from when I had logged on, when I went to actually watch the fight, so I missed the knockdown, but I watched it from round 4 onwards, right? And then when I watched the whole fight the next following day, which was today, right, of the whole fight, I'm not gonna lie, even during that moment in real time when I was watching the fight, I was in awe. Literally, I've never, because I didn't have Francis even getting to 10 rounds, right? I thought he was gonna gas out, and I thought he's ultimately just gonna get stopped by Tyson Fury, right? You've seen all the time, right, where MMA fighters try to make that crossover to boxing, and it generally just don't really work out, right? Due to the conditioning, just in your fighting against people who are born to do this sport or have been trained since a young age. But man, when I tell you, I was very impressed by Francis's his technique. He always kept his hand up to absorb punches. When he threw punches, he didn't fall for feints. He kind of showed his natural ability as a fighter to kind of just be a little awkward and really throw punches. And when he was going in, I think what kept Tyson Fury at bay was that overhand right hand. And then more importantly, like we was discussing during the fight, his switch hitting would shock me. The way he was switch hitting and throwing Tyson Fury off, and Tyson Fury just didn't know what was going on. Tyson Fury didn't want to press because he didn't want to get dropped again and then throw punches. And to be honest, I feel like this is one of those situations that clearly Francis won the fight. Clear. He won the fight, in my honest opinion. There's no doubt about it. But boxing is just so corrupt, and a fight is supposed to win it. It's still that they'll just go the other way. And we see it happen time and time again where judges get it wrong so many times, and it's to the point where it's like, why do we even have judges? Why do we even have judges to rule fights at this point, right? Like, why?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my point. I was surprised. He's definitely the people's champ, and I respect him a ton after this fight.
Yeah. What was crazy is, during the actual fight, like his technique and his stance and his guard was so tight, but like in the back, like when he was working out, he was throwing punches. I kept seeing him open up so much. I'm like, he's just gonna like revert, kind of more some natural instinct. I'm like, he's gonna open up, he's gonna get caught. And Fury, did a lot of feinting, and he didn't bite on almost any of it. There was like one time I can remember Fury kind of got him, and then Fury came over with a long overhand right. But for the most part, he wasn't falling for feints. He was the physically more imposing man when they were kind of like, like anytime it was a clinch or anything, he was able to just throw Fury off of him. And like the last round, he tried to do the Superman punch. At that point, it was just like styling on him. But like you said, just his overall boxing, his ability to switch hit, you know what I'm saying? And Fury tried to do some switching too, but I think it was like, all right, this guy's kind of throwing me off. Let me see if I can throw him off his game. So like that was very shocking, because we see Fury outbox guys who've been boxing forever, make them look foolish. So I know Francis is, been fighting, and as Usyk said, gave him his credit. He's not just a MMA fighter; he's an MMA world champion. You know what I'm saying? So there's a level of pedigree there, but still, to go against who a lot of people regard as maybe the best heavyweight in the world, um, and perform that well. Where I think he won the fight. I'll be just straight up. The only way I think Fury could have won that fight is if it was 12 rounds and it was two more rounds for him to maybe win two more rounds. Like at best, I could have gave Fury 5 rounds, but let's say I gave him 5 rounds, right? That's the very best I could have done. Let's say I gave him 5 rounds, gave Francis 5 rounds. The knockdown still
Yeah.
means he won because that's a 10-8 round.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I just, me personally, I can't make a case that I see in Tyson Fury win that fight. You know what I'm saying? He
Mm-hmm.
needed to probably have two more rounds to probably make something happen. You know, so I was actually surprised. I thought the judges would have kind of gave it to Francis just because it was like such a big show and big event, and I just thought that would have made the crowd go nuts. But you can't have that get in the way of the next fight that they're trying to have, which is, you know, Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury, and Usyk was in the building, and I mean people were going crazy for Usyk. I mean there was a point where they showed Cristiano Ronaldo, and then they showed Usyk, and the ovation for Usyk was louder than Cristiano Ronaldo, which is insane if you think about that.
Yeah, that was
You,
crazy.
you know what I'm
That
saying?
was
And like Usyk, he has like so much personality. It's just like so funny, you know what I'm saying? He was like, even after he was like, Fury, I tell Fury, jab, jab, use jab. Oh no. I was like, you know, so I really think with the money and the backing that the Saudis will put behind it, the personalities, I think that could be a huge fight, and nobody really wants to miss out on that financial gain. I briefly saw something that said Fury may pull out due to injuries, but I haven't really dive deep into that. I would have to do some more research on that. But it was just crazy. I was like speechless. I was as stunned as you were just
Yeah,
watching.
like crazy stun. And I think to going back to the injury part, yeah, they tried to use that in the post fight, like, oh, you know, he has to heal from that cut. And it was like, what cut? It was like a small minor cut, as if
Mhm.
trying to use that as an excuse to kind of delay the fight with Usyk.
Yeah,
Kind of like weird. You know, and Usyk and him kind of just spoke to each other at the middle of the ring. And I'm glad Usyk kind of put the pressure, like, yo, and it was funny in his own words, like, okay, let's make this fight happen. December. Now I go to sleep.
yo,
which was hilarious, right?
Usyk is funny, bro.
Yeah, Usyk is a hilarious guy, but yeah, it really stunned, I would say, the boxing world. And it was funny because I texted you beforehand. I was like, yo, they're gonna have to rob Francis, right? And I'm like, it may happen only because, like you mentioned, there's more at stake, right? And then what would it say to others in the MMA world that, you know, this guy came in and beat the best heavyweight? But if I'm being honest, I think this will probably only happen in the upper weight classes, like, right? Because
Mm,
I don't foresee like a MMA fighter going into the lower weight classes and doing what Francis did to Tyson to someone else, right? Like someone coming in and fighting Gervonta Take Davis at, you know, 135, right?
mm,
Sean O'Malley, right, coming in to fight Devin Haney. That's not going to happen because in the lower weight classes, there's a lot more volume when it comes to punches, a
mm.
lot more different set of skills that's imposed right then and there, right? So I think it might be like Francis is probably displaying some sense of false hope amongst the MMA community, and I
Yeah,
think there's more context, but and not everyone is spy like Francis, but and like you mentioned, it makes it more entertaining for Francis versus John Jones when he goes mad.
yeah, yeah. That it makes that more entertaining. You know what I think? Backfired against Tyson. Tyson's usually clinching you, throwing his body on you, and
Yeah,
weighing you down because I think he came in at what, like 275, 276 or something like that.
very
But
heavy.
Francis
Yeah,
came in around 272, which is a bit heavier than he would come in MMA. He would have to be 265 or less.
right.
But so he came in, I think, a guy around the same weight as him that he just
And
couldn't, like,
strong.
yeah, he couldn't physically impose him. It was like nothing. Francis was just like, what? This is nothing. Like, get off me. Let's go back to boxing. And opposed to when he did that to Wilder. I think Wilder's probably been like what in the ranges of their three fights, somewhere between 220 and 240.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm
Wilder's
saying? So
significantly lighter.
with all that weight on you, it's just like, all right, I'm starting to get sluggish, but like Francis could manage the additional weight.
Yeah,
So yeah, it does make the fight even more interesting with him and John Jones. Of course, MMA is a different set of rules, but his boxing look tight. You know what I'm saying? And John Jones is really, he's known for everything, but his standing striking game, is a big part of it. You know what I'm saying? So what if Francis is a better standing striker than John Jones? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And remember, John Jones, I think, just came up and had like what, one fight at the weight class. So his next
Yeah,
fight, he has one coming up. But I don't know. It does make it all the more interesting. That'll be a crazy fight to see now between John and Francis.
yeah,
Man, I'm still kind of stunned, still kind of speechless.
that Francis really like he didn't get the decision, but my eyes he beat for Tyson. So I'm
Yeah.
shocked he really beat Tyson. And Tyson even tried to use like dirty tactics, that elbow he threw at
Hmm.
Francis, and Francis ate it and still came back, and he did that shit on purpose, like especially
Yeah.
the way he threw it. And Tyson's a dirty fighter. Like anyone that's been keeping up with Tyson Fury for the past his whole career, he's a dirty fighter. But the fact that he threw that elbow on Francis ate it and just still kept coming forward. I was like, oh my God, he's an
Yeah.
animal, bro. He's an
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah. And all right. So I mean, Usyk Fury. Let's hope we still get it by the end of the year. But if
Hopefully.
not, you know, let's see what the alternatives are. I doubt we get like a Usyk Francis. Wouldn't it make sense? I know Usyk's a guy who's about his business, so he's gonna go after that belt.